YouTube. It's your boy Gabe.
YouTube. It's your boy Paul.
That's right. And we're back again talking about another tier list video. Everyone wants to know. Oh no, just kidding. Wait, it's not a tier list.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be present for that. For the freaking
the Dark Souls tier list
video.
Dark Souls, no.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, why would you? You've never played the games.
The people want that though. I think they want it. I'm just not gonna be around for it.
Dark Souls content is hot right now because of Elden Ring.
It is hot. I do want to play it. I'm just, anytime you guys talk about it, I'm completely lost, but it's okay.
Yeah. You should
be friends and I accept you.
That's right. Because you're an open-minded individual and you're kind.
I'm kind. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, hey everybody.
Yeah.
It's Gabe and Paul from the Spine Crackers podcast show. And we're back talking about, again, our boy, continuing to explore the short fiction of Mr. Haruki Murakami. We're working through his collection, The Elephant Vanishes. This is the second video on this one.
Is it really only the second? I guess, yeah.
Yeah,
I guess
yeah.
it is. We did the Men Without Women.
We did Men Without Women
short story collection
previously, and then doing this one now.
It's been a while.
It has been a little while. Yeah.
I feel like I needed a break though from Murakami for a little while.
And why is that?
I don't know. Like reading these stories, I felt a little refreshed, like I was ready to get back into his writing a bit. But I remember the last video we made, I was a little bit down on the Murakami.
Yeah, it was a little more lukewarm vibes.
Yeah. So I was ready for this one.
Yeah. No, I think it's good to take it kind of, in little chunks. That's yeah. All right. So we're gonna talk about oh yeah, okay. Hey YouTube, by the way, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, click the notification bell, subscribe to the channel, bro. Go to the patreon.com/spinecrackers.
Do it.
Where we do more videos and all that stuff. So yeah, it's all the links below. This is what you have to do on YouTube. You got a point, man. Okay, so we're talking about 3 stories today. 2 of them are quite short, and then there's a long one that in between.
Yes.
So I think we'll just go in the order that we read them. So the first story is called. These titles are very long. Some of these stories, and
yeah, they're kind of long and awkward.
Yeah, the first one is called. Yeah. This is. I think this gets my vote for like the most Murakami title of anything he's ever written.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because. Okay, so the title is On Seeing the 100% Perfect Girl One Beautiful April Morning. And yeah, to me, that's just...
my only argument against that would be like On Seeing the 100% Perfect Girl, except she has a limp on a perfect beautiful morning with a cat in the background.
Fair. You got to get all those Murakami boxes ticked.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so this is, it's to me, that's just a very classic, just emo sad boy Murakami title. Yeah. And also sort of weird vibes about women.
Mm-hmm.
So everything you want out of a Murakami story, you already got in the title here.
Yep. And it's in the story too.
Now this is, yeah. There was a short film made of this story, right?
Was there really?
Yeah, I think there is. We talked
about this in the test.
I didn't watch it before this, but I have watched it a while back. I don't remember it that well, but yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a short film made about this story. Anyway, like this is really only like 4.5 pages, so quite short. And it basically describes a unnamed narrator's experience seeing a woman on the street and just kind of feeling instantly like, that's the woman for me, that she's perfect, and that we should be together forever. And and
it's like she's not even, he like describes her as like not even that beautiful. She just has something about her.
Classic Murakami. Just has to get in the physical descriptions.
Mm-hmm. What'd you make of this one?
Well, I thought it was, it was fine. It was like just a little classic Murakami story about the sort of small moments of melancholy that creep into our daily lives. And I think a lot of people have had an experience sort of relatable, that like that they can relate to this kind of story, right? Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
especially when you're young but I think the narrator of the story is supposed to be like 30 or something. So maybe not.
Don't they like they see each other? I'm a little twisted because I read this a little while ago, but didn't they see each other when they were young, and then they saw each other again?
Well, so
when they're like 30
he
something.
constructs this like little parable at the end, because he starts asking himself, like, oh, what would I have said to her if I, decided to stop? Because they just kind of they just kind of walk past each other, right? Ultimately is what happens. And he's like thinking back on it, like, what would I have said to her if I had, pulled her aside? Like, would I have been like, hey, do you want to just talk for a little while? Or like,
he was like, give me 30 minutes
or
of
like,
your time.
Yeah, which is great, which is creepy. Don't say that to someone on the street. So he's like, here's what I would have said. He would, and then it
might work on Tinder though.
It might work on Tinder.
I wonder what the percentage rate for that line would be.
Give me 30 minutes of your time. That seems
give
like
me 30 minutes to your period.
That seems like a kind of a long time to invest in a Tinder conversation.
That is probably true. Probably only work like 5% of the time anyway.
So anyway, he constructs this little parable about what he would have said to this woman, and basically it's sort of imagining like two young people who see each other and both mutually feel, oh my God, like we're perfect for each other, we need to be together forever. And then they start to kind of get suspicious of that feeling and be like, this life doesn't really work this way. People, like, the perfect person for you doesn't kind of just stumble upon you in the street. And they're like, okay, look, if we'll just go our separate ways today, and if we ever meet each other again in any context, then that'll be a sign, essentially, that we need to be together forever. And then they like both get into some kind of, they both get like a disease that like affects their long-term memory, and they like forget.
They get like the flu, and it's like deadly. Yeah,
which I guess
get the flu.
I guess back in the day, the flu could fuck you up like that.
Yeah, in like 1981 or
yeah, I think this is from the 80s, right? This story.
Yeah.
And they both lose their memory and then see each other and don't even recognize each other, basically, and then just go on with their lives. And he's thinking like, maybe that was the situation that I was in today, walking past this girl. Maybe we had met previously and we had made this compact. And so it's an interesting sort of like double layering of melancholy in that sense, right? That like situation like that, which I think a lot of people have had, like, man, like that person, I just feel some irrational attraction to them that's beyond the physical, and like there's something there. I'm hearing my patented feet kicked up.
I see your feet dangling there.
Yeah. Well, it's also because my new high-tech mic setup to get the sound a little bit better than it has been is just I have it literally just like buried in a pile of pillows, essentially.
Yeah. So last episode you were like, how's my mic sound? I was like, great. What did you buy did you buy some new technology? You're like, no, it's under pillows.
Yeah. Hey, whatever.
It's working great.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, it was sort of just a that's a melancholy situation already, sort of a like, a what if, which is something that everybody has and understands in their life. And that was just an extra layer to it. Like, well, what if it goes even deeper than that, and like you are missing an even bigger opportunity or something like that. So I thought it was an interesting kind of twist on that basic kind of premise.
I thought it was interesting. I think that Murakami does suffer when his stories are like really, really short. So far from what I've read, like this one and the third one we read, I feel like we're pretty weak, because I feel like he does need a bit more time to dive into something to really get the message across. And this one just kind of, it felt a little shallow, even though it was a good idea. I thought it was like creative, and it adds to the strengths about Murakami that I enjoy, which are not exactly the magical realism, but more of just like a twisted realism.
Right.
Which I think the next story does really well too. It's just like, there's not necessarily magic in this story, but it's just like something slightly off about reality that makes the story intriguing, or the
kind of like the way my
circumstances
kind of like the way my video looks right now, slightly off.
How's it look?
I don't know. I feel like the color is just weird right now.
It's really, really bright behind you.
Yeah, and kind of weirdly washed out. I don't know.
You're getting that mid. Yeah, it is kind of washed out. You're getting that Midwest washed out.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Midwest emo.
And it always even though I always know you're lying on your stomach, it always looks like you're at a desk. So when I see your feet, I'm just like, whose feet are those?
It's the illusion. But then also that would make the proportions of my room really weird. Like if I was sitting at a desk and my window was still that high above me.
I know.
Like,
yeah. You're like in a castle.
Talk about weird realism.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I think Murakami is generally at his best when he's sits with something for a little while. And of course, some of his most well-known and well-loved novels are the real big fat boys. So
yeah,
that might translate to some degree to his short fiction too.
I mean, yeah, and I personally think he works best in like a short novel form,
right?
And I think his short stories work best at like the 30-page mark, just from the few that I've read.
Well, let's maybe talk about the long one in this group, which is
and ironically the shortest title.
Yeah, by a lot.
Yeah.
So the second story is Sleep is just the name of the story.
Yeah, and it's a rare one because it's from the perspective of a woman.
Yeah, true.
I cannot think of a story by Murakami with a female main character.
You would know better than me. I can't think of one either.
I don't think I've read one. I think this is the first.
Which that's interesting, right? Because he's often, there's so much discourse about Murakami, and we've talked about it in these videos about his treatment of women and all of that stuff. Yeah. And
it's interesting to see the other side.
Right. Right.
Because there's a few instances of like let's go through the plot, I guess.
All right. First. Well, yeah. What you take it away? What's it about?
It's about this like 30-something-year-old woman who her husband is a dentist, and she basically starts off saying that like the first line of the story is, "This is my 17th straight day without sleep,"
which is this is one of those like weird reality things. It's like, medically impossible, right? Like that's not possible. You would die or you can go crazy.
Exactly. And he talks about that in the story too.
Right.
He talks about like the Russian experiment or whatever, where, or I think he says German, but I think it's Russian.
The Russian sleep experiment is a creepypasta.
It's a creepypasta. It's fake.
Yeah, it's fake.
Okay. But there was a Nazi one.
I mean, people have used sleep deprivation as torture for forever. Like that's true. That's been a common practice throughout human, the history of human evil.
Yeah. But basically she ends up, I think she went through a period in her life where she didn't sleep for a long time, and then she was okay for a while. But then she has this basically like sleep paralysis nightmare vision that she calls it, where she wakes up from a nightmare and there's like an old man wearing a black tight t-shirt at the end of her bed, and she's like pouring water on her feet, and she has this it's absolutely terrifying. This is like a horror story. I was actually like creeped out.
Very creepy scene, and I think like describing it, it's sleep paralysis.
Yeah, which I have had many times. I kind of want to talk about it.
Okay, yeah, I'm down,
because I've had like very similar experiences.
We can talk about sleep paralysis for sure.
Yeah. But basically she's so terrified during this experience, she has this like guttural scream that doesn't make its way out, and she describes it as being like trapped in her body before she wakes up completely, because she's like awake. Sleep paralysis, like you're awake but you're not, whatever. But yeah, and then she, like, after that trance, sleep paralysis, demon water torture, whatever, she finds herself just not being able to go to sleep after that, and it goes on for like a month or so.
Mm-hmm. A couple weeks it starts,
but she ends up getting like weird. She reacts to it very strangely. She's not tired at all. She's exercising. She talks a lot about her, like her body and her physical appearance, and like
Yes.
she likes like standing in the mirror naked and
Which is
admiring her body,
so
which is just
even
Murakami like pretending to be a woman, and that's what he would do.
yeah, exactly. Exactly, dude. Murakami just being like, yeah, I wish I would had a female body so I could just look at it in the mirror and think about how hot I was and then get a boner, but I don't have.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I thought
That's all I was
that
picturing.
really cracked me up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she becomes like she has superpowers about reading though. She
Mm-hmm.
starts reading like Anna Karenina,
Yep.
and she reads it like 3 or 4 times. But she just, I don't know. I don't know what to make of this, but she had like extreme focus in reading.
And in everything else, like you said, like she's exercising, she's just like her daily life becomes like very just efficient and easy, and like she's because she's so focused on like the reading and the exercising, she's like, that's all I want to do.
Except she starts eating chocolates and sweets again
Right.
like crazy. And
Right.
there's like a one line that says like her husband like didn't allow her to eat chocolate.
Yes.
So she has to like sneak around.
Or they didn't want to keep it in the house so their kid couldn't get to it and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she starts
drinking.
And I think importantly also she starts drinking much more.
Yes, brandy,
which
lots of
her
brandy.
husband also doesn't drink because he's a nerd loser. This guy, dentist,
yeah,
doesn't drink, the worst.
Yeah, he just talks about like the new dentist equipment he's wants to buy. Like that's his nighttime demeanor. But yeah, then it ends kind of terrifyingly drastically.
Yep.
Where you're not totally sure what happens, but during her sleepless nights, she describes driving around neighborhoods and just going on like drives because she has so much time. And at the very end, she's on one of these drives and she's parked and her car can't start, and there's like a bunch of just like dark figures, which I think are like kind of like a throwback to the old man wearing the dark t-shirt, and they basically just start like banging on the car. I don't know, I can't remember if they like smashed the windshield or not, but they're like harassing her in the car.
It's like to the point where it's gonna like flip over,
yeah, like the last line is like the car is about to flip or something.
Yeah.
And she's terrified and crying, so you just kind of assume that these night demons end up killing her.
But it's also it's also left open, I think, because earlier in the story, like you said, when she's driving around, she has an encounter with a police officer who's like, hey, there's like a gang around these parts lately, and they like, they raped or I forget what happened. They rape a couple and kill somebody or something. So like you should be careful. So it's left open at the end if this is just the gang, like the actual humans or some sort of manifestation of like a sleep demon or some other type of demon.
Yeah, in a very Murakami way, it's left open-ended like that.
Because the book is kind of about, or the story, it's kind of about like this woman's sort of own demons in her life, because as she sort of is experiencing the joy of reading again, which she used to do and then stopped doing, and the joy of eating chocolate again, so there's a lot of like things that she's realizing that she has kind of stopped doing for her family or for her husband or because of her kind of circumstances in life now, that she starts doing again and loving and sort of realizing like, my life kind of is ass and I don't like it.
Yeah, and it's a really weird choice that I feel like that Murakami made between like lack of sleep and someone's realization that their life is not what they wanted it to be, right? Which is one thing I like about Murakami, just like kind of weird marriages between very different ideas that you wouldn't necessarily like correlate together.
Well,
but
I think
her
go ahead.
I like her she describes like going to undergrad and having a desire to go to grad school, and then she just her family couldn't afford it, so they were like, go out into the world, and she just kind of found a husband and got married. But there seems to be like some sort of illusion that she created for herself into thinking that the life she is living as a housewife is the one she wanted, and only this lack of sleep has propelled her into realizing that it isn't, but she's not even necessarily sure what she wants.
Well, it's yeah, exactly. And I think, I mean, she talks a lot about her life, just like her daytime life, just kind of being on autopilot, right? Like there's a line that I thought, or like a little passage that I thought was like really summed this up well, and was like kind of sad and true at the same time. Like she says, let me see if I can find it. I know I highlighted it. Okay, here we go. This is on 96. After I gave up sleeping, it occurred to me what a simple thing reality is, how easy it is to make it work. It's just reality, just housework, just a home, like running a simple machine. Once you learn to run it, it's just a matter of repetition. You push this button and pull that lever, you adjust a gauge, put on the lid, set the timer, the same thing over and over. And so, like, I think that just, she's sort of realizing that her life is just this one day repeated over and over again, basically, right? Like it's fucking
Yeah.
Groundhog Day or something. And I think I actually liked the sort of using sleep to convey that, or lack of sleep to convey that, because she's essentially living like two lives at once, like one during the day and then a whole nother, her own sort of quote unquote like real life at night, where she's eating
Yeah.
chocolate and drinking and reading and being like the person that maybe she sort of wanted to be or thought she might become when she was younger. And I think that like I liked using sleep to convey that, just because like I don't know if you've ever had these thoughts, but I definitely have, and I feel like a lot of people probably have. It's just like I not so much these days, but especially when I was younger and was like wanting to do more shit and like have more energy and like whatever, I was like, sleep is fucking pointless, dude. I hate sleeping. Like I want to use those hours to do things. You know what I mean? I want to use those
Yeah.
hours to read more, to watch more movies, or whatever it was I wanted to do. Um, there's like a certain sort of like sense of inefficiency or bitterness at sleep. Like I wish I could, I wish I had that time. Right. And of course it's like,
Yeah.
and he mentions it in the book, sleep, we spend like a third of our life sleeping. Right. And she mentions that, and she's like, I want that time back, because that's me. That's my, that's when I'm actually living my life.
Yeah. And she talks a little bit about like the necessary biological need to sleep in humans, and how it's like it's an inherent biological process. And talks about how she's not sure like why she's even defying it. Like, how is this even possible? If she went to a doctor, like what would they even say? Would they even believe her? But it made me think like her body is doing this because emotionally it is necessary for her to have this time to herself.
Right. And I think one of the other interesting wrinkles is that like she starts to kind of hate her husband. Like
Yeah.
there's a great scene where she kind of like, because he's just kind of like this boring dentist guy, and she kind of was like, at times in her life angry at him that he just falls asleep like basically right away, like whenever they go to
Yeah, she
sleep,
hates him because he's so good at sleeping.
which resonated with me and made me feel like I suck, because I fall asleep instantly. Like whenever I want to go to sleep, I go to sleep right away.
Yeah, you're really good at sleeping.
I'm great at
Clear
sleeping. I'm a
conscious.
fucking sleep pro.
Yeah,
Um,
you are.
and I was like, damn, am I like this fucking dentist guy? And so she like goes in and is watching him sleep one night, and she's like, this guy fucking sucks. Like he's ugly
Yeah.
and stupid, and
Yeah.
I hate this guy. And
I
and
love that scene
and
so much. Yeah.
interestingly, she also is like, and she has more conflicted feelings about this, but she starts to like feel bitter about her son too, because she
Mm.
realizes that he looks like his father, and she's like, he's just going to be another like shitty man like his dad, who's just boring and sucks. And she says like, I love him obviously, but like I realize like I'm never going to be able to like really care about him or like him as a person. Which
Yeah.
I'm like,
It's probably more
that's fucking
part.
intense.
Yeah. Well, I like that scene a lot because to me it added to the potential effects of the lack of sleep too. Because when you don't sleep, when I don't sleep, I become irritable as fuck. I'm like, I hate everything. I like look at someone I love and be like, I hate the way you walk. Like, stop it. Little thing, they kind of add up. So I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
it was
yeah,
adding
right.
to her demeanor in that moment. But yeah, and she goes into talking about like why don't I husband while he sleeps anymore? Like, this is the first time I've done it in years. Like, why am I not doing it? She like kind of flashes back to a moment where she got into an argument with him and her mother-in-law
Right.
and her husband like didn't take her side, and she kind of thought that like he's no longer my protector. So to me, and that was like supposed to be like 10 years ago. So it is sort of like she stopped loving him then
Mm-hmm.
and hasn't really realized it for years
Yeah.
until she's in this moment like staring at his face thinking he's ugly. And
Yeah.
she like describes like hating his arrogance and seeing the arrogance in the son, but also in the mother-in-law too. She like hates the arrogance of the whole family.
Right.
Yeah.
So I wonder, like, and we can talk more about the like the old man with the water and the car demons maybe. And I want to hear your take on sleep paralysis. But would you say this is a feminist story? Because
Yeah.
I definitely get shades of like some of those early kind of classics of feminist writing, like the, you know, the Kate Chopin, like The Awakening, or you know, a Room of One's Own, or, you know, it's like the Betty for like Problem with No Name, right? Like it's this is kind of what this woman is experiencing, and kind of like finding these ways of subverting her life in order to take some aspect of it back.
I mean, yeah, I definitely saw it. It was kind of a shocking thing to read in a
Yeah, very
Murakami
very
book, I would
much
say.
so.
But I mean, it's very much uh like anti-housewife lifestyle. Like uh, to me, it's Murakami's view is like that can literally drive someone crazy, and even within the safe, like the apparent safety of it, there's like a madness going on. Um, and I thought it was really effective. It was like a shocking thing for him to do, and very very effective.
Yeah, I really would love, I really think I would be curious to hear people's takes who have criticized Murakami about his treatment of women, like their takes on this story, you know, because I do think some of those criticisms are valid. um and I totally understand people being turned off by of his writing because of that, but this was definitely out of left field for him.
They'd probably say like he should do it more,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
I agree
which
with.
probably, yeah,
Yeah,
well, because it was also good.
it was really
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
It's probably one of
um
my favorite short stories I've read of his, actually.
yeah, I think it's definitely up there for me. I think
Yeah.
I also really, now I want to know if he's written anything else from a female perspective. I'd be
Maybe he
curious.
has in this book. I mean,
Yeah, maybe, yeah,
I'm not,
we'll find
you
out.
know,
We'll find out.
yeah.
So what did you think about the characterization of sleep paralysis? Is that true to life?
Yeah, I mean, totally. Like I've had, I used to have sleep paralysis really bad when I was a teenager. Like 3 times a week I would have it, and I would see the old hag. Like if you know, there's a documentary on Netflix.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's shockingly true.
What's it
Like
called? It's just called The Nightmare or something, right? On
it's a
Netflix.
nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, and I sometimes still even wake up and I'm slightly paralyzed, but I can like fight myself out of it now. But back in the old days when I was a teenager, I there was like 2 or 3 times when I would wake up, you know, and see my entire room, and not be able to move, and my door would be cracked open, and I would see like an old woman's hand come around the door, and then I would like
Hate that.
force myself. Yeah, and the worst one, absolute worst one, was she actually came in, and I kept my eyes closed because I was so scared and I couldn't wake up. It's like the worst experience because it's the most exhausting thing to
Yeah,
try to like
yeah,
shake yourself out of it.
yeah.
Um, but she actually came into my room and like was like breathing in my face.
Oh God, that's awful, dude.
I know.
I hate that
Yeah.
so much.
So bad. It was bad. But it's been years since I've had anything that terrible. So that's
Yeah,
good.
good.
But almost every time though I read something about it or watch something about sleep paralysis, I'll have it within the week. So I'm a
Ooh,
little,
so you're gonna have it
yeah.
tine.
And I might die. There's
No,
always a
you're not gonna
chance.
die. No, that's not true. You can't die from
There's
sleep
always a
paralysis.
chance. Well, actually, you know, Nightmare on Elm Street was based on an actual story of a kid who said that he would like, I think he had sleep paralysis. I could be mistaken, but he would like fall asleep and not be able to wake up. And then this kid actually died, and no one knows why, but he died in his sleep.
Oh, I didn't know that actually.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
I gotta
the
look
whole
that up.
movie was based on that. So I
I
always think about that.
oh, I didn't even know that. Okay.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
Yeah. But
Sleep is so weird, dude.
I know. I hate it.
It creeps me
I
out.
mean,
I
you
mean
love
that
it.
I well, it's not even that I love it. It just comes easy to me. But like if I think about it too much, it's creepy as hell, and I don't love it.
Mhm. It's creepy
It's
because you're like going
just like
into
where are you? Like what's happening when you're sleeping? I know like there's answers, like there's obvious answers to that, but anyone that knows anything about science is probably like screaming at the screen. But
yeah,
it's
yeah,
fucking creepy, dude, because
yeah.
you just disappear and then you just wake up. You just get you just get fucking Thanos snapped for 6 hours a night. It's just like
Yeah,
why? I hate it.
yeah.
I don't like it at all. Yeah.
Well, we
But
should talk
yeah,
a little bit about your sleep habits. Where when you go to anytime you're falling asleep, you always make the noises of.
I, I, yeah, I do. I am a very active sleeper. I twitch a lot. Like I do the thing like almost every time where like as I'm falling asleep, I get that like kind of like falling sensation and like twitch myself like you know, like awake,
Yeah,
and then I'm able to fall asleep like normally after that happens once or twice. But like I twitch a lot. I moan a lot. Yeah, I'm definitely a
it's hilarious. Last summer when we were sleeping like right next to each other in those cots,
yeah.
uh, I was like, I was laughing so hard when you were falling asleep. It's like, ah.
I don't know what it is. I have no idea what that is.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I make a lot of noise. I'm a noisy sleeper.
Yeah,
Shout outs to my wife.
yeah. She's got to put up with that.
Not really. I mean, we don't even sleep together a lot of the time these days for that, partially for that reason, and partially just because it's scientifically proven that people sleep better by themselves. So
That is true.
if you sleep together, you're coping. Get over it.
Hmm.
Sleeping together is cringe.
Yeah, it's anti-feminist.
Yeah, true. Because your
Yeah.
wife has to deal with your dumbass snoring, your mouth breathing,
Hmm.
and twitching and sleep paralysis.
I definitely twitch, and yeah, I'm like that too,
Yeah.
for sure.
All right. Well, anything else about this one?
I mean, probably this is. I mean, what am
Okay.
I?
Well, so what do you think about the car demons? Real people or sleep paralysis hallucination demons?
I don't know. I mean, that's why it's so. It's like intentionally open ended. That's
Yeah. What about the old
my.
man pouring the water?
I just think he was a sleep paralysis demon.
Do you think the pouring of the
Um,
water is like, you know, like you you literally pour cold water on someone to try to wake them up, right? To try to get them like, and maybe that was a sort of like metaphor for her kind of waking up to her reality and then her actual feelings about her life. The old guy's like just literally pouring cold water on her.
yeah, maybe that's it. Yeah, I don't know who the old man could have been. Just some sort of um, spirit that is sent to people's houses to wake them up out of their docile existence. I
Maybe.
don't know.
Yeah. Or maybe just it's unique to her, you know, who knows?
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know about in terms of the ending. I my initial reading was like these are sleep paralysis demons, but there was that callback to the people being murdered, so
Yeah.
it could have been her. Um, like I just feel like she was succumbing to the anxiety that would be brought upon from lack of sleep from that long of a
Right.
duration.
Right.
So she was slowly losing her mind, and I think that actually this story I wanted to bring up the which I think people don't normally talk about with Murakami, but he's constantly using like an unreliable narrator,
Mm.
and even her saying like I'm fine, I'm okay, like I'm just I love reading these books, I'm in great physical health, like
Even at the same time acknowledging that it's like medically impossible what's happening.
exactly. And I think that Murakami does that really really well because you can actually you have to like always question what the narrator's saying
True.
because in a lot of his stories from which are mostly from a male perspective a lot of the dudes are just saying like, you know, this happened to me and this happened to me, but I'm okay. I've been okay for like many years. But then like
True.
the climax of the story is always that person confronting these feelings that
Not being
were
okay
not
at
sitting
all.
with them well. They were,
Yeah.
it was never okay. Yeah. So I think that, yeah, that he did it well in this story for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think probably she was overstating her level of normalcy.
Yep. And, you know, just like trying to feed her body to like keep it going with chocolate or
Just
something, you know, like some
chocolate and brandy.
like it's something isn't going on right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I like the story. I'd really be curious to hear what other people who have read it have to say about it.
Yeah, in terms of like the feminist angle.
Yeah, yeah, specifically that. I think because it's just so out of character for Murakami to write a story like this. It seems to me.
And a really well written female character, not just like a
Yeah.
female character. Like
No.
she was well written.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I'll stand by that. Um. All right, should we do the last one from this group?
Yes, I have very little to say about this last one.
This is a really weird story. So the title is very very long. It's called, I'll read it. It's called The Fall of the Roman Empire, the 1881 Indian Uprising, Hitler's Invasion of Poland, and the Realm of Raging Winds.
Yeah.
And it's divided into four subsections, which is interesting because it's only, you know, 5 pages, 6 pages.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically diary entries, sort of, by this guy who sort of like assigns historical events to days in his life, and that's how he like remembers what happened on that day, is like a connection he makes to some historical event. I think is kind of the vibe. And he's, you know, clearly a very kind of like you know, anal obsessive type guy. Like he talks a lot about like, you know, everything is measured in like percentages. Like there's a line where he's like talking about sighing and he's like, I let out a 30% sigh. And like, you know, like all of these like very like particular kind of mathematized approach to his own life.
Yeah, and even the diary entries, he's like, I'm gonna do 80% facts and 20% like off the cuff.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so the story, such as it is basically like he's at home doing a diary entry and it gets really windy, and he's surprised because it was listed as 0% chance of like wind or rain for the day. And then
shocking.
And then like he gets a phone call from someone who he thinks might be his girlfriend, who's coming over bringing groceries and stuff, but he can't really hear her voice. It's a female voice, but it's too windy for him to hear. And he's like unnerved by it and kind of weirded out by it. And so I'm like, in that moment, I'm like, okay, this is going to be the weird Murakami thing. Like it's going to be the unexplained windy female voice on the other end of the line. And his girlfriend's going to come over and be like, oh, I didn't call you. But she comes over and she's like, oh yeah, that was me. I called you.
Yeah.
And I was
Murakami
like,
fake out.
Yeah, it was a total Murakami fake out. And he's just like, oh, that's kind of weird. It was so windy. I couldn't hear you. And she's like, yep, it was weird, windy. Yeah. And that's like basically the whole story.
Yeah. There's a little segment where he's weirded out because there's a dog sniffing outside his window for 20 minutes, and he's like, what's that about?
Right.
Yeah, it actually, I mean, it's such a short story, but it kind of reminded me of like a Nicholson Baker type story, just like a very particular person going through, I don't know, just nerdy type motions.
Yes. Their own sort of internal system for making sense of the world.
Yeah, not exactly like OCD or anything, but like a unique system.
Yes.
But yet again, I feel like this was, even though it had 4 parts, it was short. It was too short. It was just, you know, you couldn't really get into it. It felt like an exercise. Like the first story we read and this one just felt like exercises,
Yeah, kind
like a
of.
creative exercise.
Yeah, it was. It was just so weird that I couldn't really wring much out of it. Like, I mean, I think the thing that sticks with me is the Murakami fake out, where
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is going to be the weird, unexplainable, magical realism element, and then you and I are going to talk about like, ooh, who's on the phone? What does it mean? And it was just his girlfriend, and it was Wendy.
Yep. I love it. I hope he wrote that and laughed to himself.
Yeah, yeah, I did like that. That did give me a chuckle because I was like, what? Like, I just didn't expect it at all
Yeah.
because it's
And
so.
like the historical titles, like they really don't mean much at all.
Yeah, I mean, like, maybe that's the point, right? Is that like just kind of illustrating that someone can, um someone can associate like the fall of the Roman Empire with like some random event in their life and be like, oh yeah, this
Yeah,
makes
like
me think of the.
someone yeah, like someone calling at 4 or 5 p.m.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, that makes me think of the fall of the Roman Empire, and that's how I'm going to remember that this happened in the future. Like,
Yeah.
I get what you're saying with the Nicholson Baker connection. It's just like this very idiosyncratic people with their own very sort of like self-contained systems for making sense of the world. And I guess I think that maybe the like sudden wind gale, because of course, like, the thing that he doesn't talk about in the diary, because all the other parts of the title are um what he uses for his diary entries, but the realm of raging winds is, he does not list that, right? He only lists the three: the Roman Empire, the Indian uprising, and the invasion of Poland at the end. And so that's
Mhm.
sort of like the thing that doesn't fit, right? Like the thing that is unsystematizable, that kind of, it goes beyond the way he understands making sense of the world. He's like, well, it was 0% for wind, why is it windy? I can't process. So it's always that, like, that extra thing that we can't make sense of, that throws our systems into, makes them go haywire.
I like thinking that like this kind of thing happens all the time, and the girlfriend's always just like, "Yeah, I mean, it was raining. You didn't
Yep.
think it was gonna rain, but I was on the
Yeah,
phone with you, and it
you're
rained."
you're weird, man. Yep, things
And he's just
happen.
like,
Yeah. Yeah, so weird little story.
"Yeah, definitely weird." I mean,
Yeah.
so far though, I'm enjoying the stark differences story to
Hmm.
story. Like
And I
this, it
liked it. I
feels,
think I think most of these are older stories, which I'm enjoying,
yeah, me too.
because it's kind of interesting to see his what his early writing looked like.
Yeah, and by this point, I already forgot like the first three stories of this one. I can't even like remember if they relate to these. That
I
was
don't.
like 2 months ago.
I was
I'm
trying to
here.
think about it a little bit. I couldn't find any like direct connections, but we'll have to do the next episode quicker than we did between these two.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
One thing we didn't do scores for this for the stories.
Last time we didn't.
No, this time.
Oh well. Do you want to?
Yes.
All right. Let's rack it. Let's rack it, baby. Let's rack them up. Score them up. All right. So first one, Perfect Girl.
I'm gonna give that a solid 3.1,
I'm gonna give it
which is not
a.
solid.
Yeah, no, 3.1 solid. That's good. I might be a little bit lower. It was kind of like whatever. It was just like a little, Murakami vibes. Yeah, I'll give it a 2.8.
All right.
Right in the middle of the road, pretty much.
Sleep, honestly, is one of my favorite short stories of his in recent memory, and I'm gonna have to give it a 4.2.
That sounds about right. Yeah, I like Sleep a lot. It was just so surprising coming from him, which at this point is like, I put a premium on that because he's usually so consistent in his style and approach, and like, what to expect. The images, like you said, like you made a meme about the, like, the cats and the people, the physically disabled people, and so on and so forth.
Yep.
And this one was not like that at all, and so I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna go along with 4.2. I like that.
Nice. I will say if he did say that the main character had a limp, it would have been like a 3.5. I'd be like, no, come on,
Nope, too much.
can't do it. Yeah.
Too much, Haruki. All right, then
last one.
the last one, long title. I don't know what to make of this one, man.
I don't know either.
I'm just gonna give it a 2.3.
Yeah, I'm gonna give 2.5. Just like
I wish like I think there was something else that maybe could have been said. It felt a little sketched.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, good fake out. That
The fake
boosted
out.
the score
Yeah,
up a little bit.
I'll give it a 2.5 because of the fake out.
Sick.
Yeah. Nice.
There we go.
That's
Let's
it.
do another one before 2 months roll around again.
Yeah. We'll speed up the production on these, churning out the content for you lovely viewers. Yeah, we will not take a break that long, but between the next batch. Yeah, as always, if you like the video, like it, leave a comment, and if you really like it, we have a Patreon. The link for that will be below, where we have other videos, and you get to join the Discord. We recently just are toying around with and you get like the full episodes for the regular show, Patreon segment, and all that. And we just recently, like last episode, we're toying around with taking some patron questions at the very end of every episode, like a question or two, and you can post those on the Discord. So yeah, we hope to see you over there. And if there's anyone who knows if Murakami wrote another story with a female narrator, I'd love to hear about that. And
yeah, comment down below.
Comment down below. We love comments. We love engagement.
Yeah.
We love engaging with you, and being engaged.
Yeah, we do.
And being engaged to you.
Yeah, we're engaged.
Yeah, to each other and to you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Full throttle engagement.
All right, y'all. Thanks for watching.
Oh, fuck, I have a headache.
Spine Crackers out.